Hello, my name is Jaden from Terrytown, and welcome to your Sunset Trail 242 BH. We're going to be starting right up front here with a switch. This switch leads to a light down here, so just in case you do need to hook up at night, you are able to do that. Otherwise, you just have your up and down for your power tongue jack there. Just in case this does electrically goes out, you can go ahead and pop this little black tab up here, insert a tool, should be a 3/4 inch bit or socket, and then you will be able to then crank that down. Sorry about the tractor there, but besides that, that's a manual override right there. Otherwise, moving to the propane portion, this little regulator switch chooses which propane tank it is going to take from. And then right behind it, that little clear tab, the camera isn't turning on this gimbal, but that will turn clear when there's propane going through it. Otherwise, that will be red. So you'll know when it empties because it will be red. Otherwise, right here, that is going to be your battery disconnect. So you have remove cover, power off and power on. So if you want the battery connected to your camper, power on, and then reverse if you want it disconnected, power off right there. Otherwise, moving into here, this is going to be a spray port. It's just gonna be a little quick connect, so I will show you that when we get to it. And then moving up here to your freshwater tank. Sorry about the wind, it started to pick up. But otherwise, the freshwater tank, the only time you're ever gonna need to use that is if you're rustic camping. So for example, if you're going to a national park, you just go ahead and pop that little tab off, and there should be like a little spout right before you go into the national park. Then you just go ahead, fill this up right before. It's just some big tank that is like a little water reservoir. So when you do need to use water, you just turn on your water pump and then start to suck water in there. Instead of using the city water connection, which is when you get to a campground, you plug in the campground hose into, which is going to be your main source of water right there. And then going back up to your fresh tank, let's say you have extra water left over. To drain that, you just go ahead and pull that little white tab right there. Otherwise, right next to that is going to be your black tank flush. So I'll get to it when we get over to your sewer system, but you are going to have a black tank and a gray tank. Your black tank is going to be a toilet, and your gray tank is going to be showers and sinks. So the reason why you have a black tank flush is because obviously toilet comes with solids, and solids will get stuck on the way out of draining. So that's why they give you this, to make sure it all flushes out nice and easy, and make sure that nothing else gets stuck. And then right here is going to be your camp power or shore power right there. And then just underneath here is going to be your sewer system. So like I mentioned before, black tank on your right, gray tank on your left, and like I said, black tank, you want to pull that first because there's going to be solids and everything, and then leave that open. Once it's done draining, go to the black tank flush, turn on that. You just got to stick a hose inside there, and then that'll then activate the sprinkler. Once this is all flushed, go back, take the hose out, close the black tank, and then I recommend doing the gray tank last, just so it washes out the sewer hose before you go ahead and put your hands back on there. Otherwise, just over here to my left is going to be your low point drain. So it's the two lowest points in your lines, so hot and cold sides. When you open that up, that will just drain out the rest of your water. So for this is your water heater. So all you gotta do is put this right on here. If I can get it. There we go. So make sure it's nice and tight, but I'm only gonna like set it on there just for a visual representation. But you wanna make sure that's on nice and tight so it can build pressure and hold water. After that, go to the inside of your camper and turn on the hot side of your faucet. Once that hot side is on and it's not sputtering anymore because it's not giving air out, so once you have a steady flow of water and this is on nice and tight, then go ahead and turn this on, and then you can use it. When it comes time to empty it, just pull the pressure release valve here. It'll hiss, obviously, because it's releasing the pressure. And then once that's done, go ahead, pop that back off, and then all of your water is then going to drain right out of that port there. Then once you're done, pop that down, and you are all good to go. Here's that spray port that I was talking about. I take that little blue hose and quick connect it right inside of here. And then right here, the keys are inside. But that's going to be where you connect your cable and satellite inputs in there if your campground does offer it. That's why they give you this small little port here that you can push over to the side, so you can still have this closed and locked, and you can still have the cables hanging out. Right inside here, you're gonna have your outside fridge, and right here you are going to have your little outside grill, which you can lock into place right there. Otherwise, you just pop this open, and of course put these out, and then you just push, turn, and then you can hear it start to spark. So when you do have gas going through there, all it does is, again, sparks. But it says right here, if the camera will do what I want it to do, it just tells you all the instructions right here. Otherwise, once again, you just press down, turn, and then it should ignite. This is a lot harder with one hand than I thought it was going to be. There we go. And then to get that into gas, you can see your little LP hose there. It can pop up. So right there, you just want to plug that right into there, and then that is going to be your LP quick connect. So you will have gas right here on the outside. Otherwise, right here, extend and retract for your power stabilizer jacks. Sometimes they get stuck like this one. It's completely fine. Just make sure it's straight. So just do that. But then they should go down at the same time. Otherwise, sometimes one side will go down first, and then the other side will come down right with it. And as soon as it hits the ground, hold it for maybe another half second just to get that pressure. Otherwise, you do not want to keep going because these aren't made to lift, they're just meant to stabilize. Otherwise, same thing, you just hold, retract, and then they will then slowly go back up. And now they're in. Just in case you do put a TV outside, you have your satellite and cable inputs for the outside. And then you have 110 outlets right there. And then just underneath that is going to be your furnace exhaust. So when your furnace is on, all the extra heat is going to be kicking out of here. So for little kids, animals, anything like that, just keep them away from this when your furnace is on. Otherwise, you have your front stabilizer jack right there. And then last but not least, for the outside, you're going to have your hitch, which your salesperson will go over with you. And then you're going to have a 25-foot drinking hose, a 110 adapter, just in case you do need to plug this unit into your house to start cleaning fridges or something like that. And then right here is going to be your sewer hose. I do recommend getting a better one or an upgraded one, just because this won't last you super long, but it's just a personal recommendation. Moving in, make sure your door is completely open before you go ahead and release your steps. You just got to make sure that you can see it start to move, but that little piece is out behind the frame before you then go ahead and pull out. It's a lot harder with one hand, but then once it's down, you're good to go. Otherwise, you're gonna have your awning light here, and then indoor lights, and then these two are gonna be for the bedroom. So you have that one in the corner, and then the blue one down there. And then you're gonna have all of your readers, so battery reader, fresh tank, black tank, and so forth. It just tells you how full they're getting so you know when to empty them. And then right below here, water pump. So like I mentioned before, the only time you're ever gonna need to use this is when you need to use your fresh tank. Otherwise, you have two Elmister water heater, gas and electric, so you just flip correspondingly. If you're plugged into camp power or shore power, I just recommend doing electric unless you don't care about your gas, then you are able to do both at the same time. Otherwise, your tank heaters, all it does is just warm your like fresh tank, black tank, stuff like that, just so if you're camping in cooler weather, it's not gonna freeze. Otherwise, you have your awning retract and extend here. You know you are fully extended with your awning when you can see the flap kind of come down, and then you see the bar it is sitting on underneath, which that color is gray, so you can't really see it on there, but it's gonna be the gray bar it is wrapped up on. And then basically just hold this to move your slide out. Once it dies off like that, you are fully extended. Moving on, here are your keys. So these gray ones are going to be for your main doors and your baggage doors, and then the silver one is going to be for your cable and satellite input box in the back there. Otherwise, moving on, you have your light and fan here, and then your microwave, and then for your oven and stove, you just want to make sure you have the lights on, and then you press to turn, you'll hear the gas start to release, and then you spark to the right, and then you can see it flame there. Otherwise, the rest goes for the same burners. And then for the oven, you want to press, turn to the little flame symbol. So that's the pilot symbol. When you do that, and then you start sparking, you want to watch that little gray piece there, because that's where the gas comes out, and that's where the flame will appear. And then once you do see that flame appear, then you can go ahead and then turn to your desired temperature. But you always want to spark this to the right, because if you do spark it to the left, it will snap off. Otherwise, for your bathroom, the main three things, you are going to need to realize it is a foot flush. So you just press down with your foot and it'll flush. And then you are going to need toilet solution along with RV grade toilet paper. The solution will help make everything kind of break down, kill smells, stuff like that, make sure it all flows nice and easy. And then the toilet paper will help break down also nice and easy so everything can flow. Otherwise, right down here, you're going to have all of your breakers, fuses. All of your breakers are going to be labeled just like a house would be. And then for your fuses, I do recommend bringing some extras just in case. That's just a personal recommendation, but I do recommend bringing some. You can pick those up at any auto parts store, so like an AutoZone or anything like that, for example. Moving over to your refrigerator. Tap to hold. Once it beeps, you know you are on. So then right here, you can choose between the refrigerator or the freezer portion, whichever one you click. And then the higher the number, the colder it gets. So you can choose that by clicking the plus and minus. Otherwise, same thing for the freezer. And then this is just a nighttime mode. There's not really a whole big point to it. It basically just makes your fridge a little bit quieter. But like I said, there's not a huge point to it. Moving on to your thermostat. It just has fan modes, cool modes, and then heat modes, just like that. And then whatever you decide to choose, you just keep clicking that button until you get there. And then you can go ahead and move the temperature up and down with those arrows there. And then moving down here, this is going to be your carbon monoxide detector. So this little green light, you can see it there. It's kind of hard to see. You'll see it more in person, but it has that small, there it is. That small green light, which indicates that it's on, and it's always going to run just as a safety feature. So what I do recommend doing is if you are, let's say, leaving your camper for 3 to 4 days, just go ahead, turn your battery disconnect off, which you should anyway. But just in case this is being a little stubborn and doesn't turn off with your battery disconnect, just double check it. When you turn your battery disconnect off, unplug everything, peek your head in the door and look for this green light. And if somehow this green light is still on, then just go ahead and take the negative end off of your battery, and then this will finally die. And if you do decide to put a TV in here, you're going to have your mounting bracket location here, along with your satellite cable input there, and then your 110 or your power outlets right there. One last thing I'm going to recommend is when you first get to a campground, your camper is going to be nice and hot. So you want to open these up and let the flow start to come down here. It's just a dump for your AC. But otherwise, when it starts to cool down, that's when people will then close it. Since it's all ducted, it's going to then flow through the ceilings and start to come out these vents here. I'm sorry if that was a little quick, but the recording phone is at 2%. So I just tried to get through this as fast as I could. Feel free to slow it down, do what you need to do, look back at it, make sure everything makes sense. And if it doesn't, please feel free to email me back, and then I will help get those answered for you. Otherwise, that was your orientation. Congratulations, and I hope you enjoy.